There are men women dated years ago that they still think about today. Not because those men were the most attractive or the most successful, not because the relationship was perfect or ended well, but because those men did something, said something, or showed up in a way that left a mark so deep that time simply could not erase it. And here is what makes that interesting. A woman's memory when it comes to men is not random, and it is not sentimental in the way most people think. It is psychological. There are specific things a man does that get stored differently in a woman's mind, things that do not fade the way ordinary moments do. They stay sharp, they stay present, and they become the standard she measures every man after him against, whether she admits it or not. Most men spend their energy trying to impress women with the wrong things entirely, and then wonder why nothing seems to stick. Welcome back. Today, we are breaking down exactly what those things are. We are getting into the 5 things a man can do that a woman will genuinely never forget, not in a casual way, but in a way that changes how she sees men for the rest of her life. This is not about tricks or tactics. This is about understanding what actually matters to a woman at a level most men never reach. If you are ready to finally understand what makes a man truly unforgettable, stay with me because this one is worth your full attention. 1. She forgot his name, but never forgot how he made her feel. There is a saying that people will forget what you said and forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. That saying exists because it is true, and nowhere is it more true than in how a woman remembers a man. She may struggle to recall the exact details of your conversations. She may forget the restaurants, the dates, even the timeline. But the feeling you created in her, that stays with absolute clarity. He was not the most remarkable man she had ever met on paper. He did not have the flashiest lifestyle or the smoothest words, but every single time she was around him, she felt genuinely at ease in a way she could not explain. She felt like she could say the wrong thing and the world would not end. That feeling of safety and ease became the thing she chased in every relationship that came after him. Most men focus entirely on what they do and say around a woman. They plan the right moves, choose the right words, and try to appear impressive at every turn. But women are not primarily responding to your actions. They are responding to how your actions make them feel inside. Those feelings bypass logic and go straight into memory in a way that lasts far longer than any grand gesture. If you want to be unforgettable to a woman, stop asking what you should do and start asking how you want her to feel. Make her feel safe, seen, and valued consistently, and she will carry that with her long after everything else has faded. 2. The thing you did without thinking. That she still talks about most men assume that the moments women remember most are the big ones. The expensive dates, the grand gestures, the dramatic declarations. But the truth is that the moments women talk about years later are almost always the small ones. The ones the man did not plan, did not rehearse, and did not even realize were significant at the time. Those unscripted moments of genuine character are the ones that burn into her memory the deepest. Women are constantly paying attention to the version of you that shows up when you are not trying to impress anyone. The way you treated the waiter when you thought she was not watching. The way you handled a stressful situation without making her feel like a burden. The way you remembered something small she mentioned once in passing. Those moments reveal who you actually are, and that is exactly what she is storing away. This is why performing for a woman never creates the kind of connection that lasts. Performances are forgettable because they feel constructed. But a man who is genuinely himself, who does thoughtful things naturally because that is just who he is, creates moments that feel real. And real moments are the ones that stick. She cannot manufacture feelings around something that feels staged, but she cannot shake feelings that came from something completely authentic. You do not need to engineer memorable moments. You need to be present, genuine, and attentive in the ordinary ones. The things you do without thinking, when you are simply being a good man naturally, are the exact things she will still be talking about years from now. 3. Why a man who holds his ground lives in her memory forever. A man who can be pushed around, who changes his position the moment a woman gets uncomfortable, who abandons his own perspective just to avoid conflict, is a man she loses respect for quietly and quickly, not because she wants to fight or because she enjoys disagreement, but because a man who stands for nothing gives her nothing solid to hold on to. And a woman cannot build genuine attraction around a man she cannot fully respect. Holding your ground does not mean being stubborn or dismissive. It means having a clear sense of who you are and what you believe, and not collapsing under social pressure just to keep the peace. When a woman pushes back on your opinion and you cave immediately without real reason, she does not feel like you compromised. She feels like you have no real foundation. That feeling quietly erodes attraction every single time it happens. The men women remember most clearly are almost always the ones who were not afraid to disagree with them. The man who said, "I hear you, but I see it differently," and actually meant it. The man who had boundaries he maintained calmly and consistently without turning it into a battle. That kind of quiet, grounded strength is so rare that when a woman encounters it, it stays with her long after everything else about the relationship has blurred. You do not have to be right about everything to hold your ground. You just have to be honest and consistent about who you are. A man with a real identity, one he does not trade away for approval, is a man a woman simply cannot forget. 4. She stopped loving him, but never stopped respecting him. There are men women fall out of love with for perfectly valid reasons. The timing was wrong, the compatibility was not there, or the relationship simply ran its course. But there is a category of man that a woman stops loving romantically while never once losing her respect for him. And that man, the one she respects even after the feelings fade, is the one she never fully stops thinking about. Respect outlasts romance almost every time. A woman can move on from a man she loved deeply, but she cannot move on from the standard he set. The way he handled disagreements with maturity, the way he never made her feel small, the way he kept his word even when it was inconvenient, those things do not disappear when the relationship ends. They become the benchmark she carries into every connection that follows. Most men focus entirely on making a woman fall in love with them and put very little thought into whether she genuinely respects them. But love without respect is fragile. It bends and breaks under pressure. Respect without love, on the other hand, is something that survives everything. It survives breakups, distance, new relationships, and years of silence. A woman who truly respects a man keeps a version of him in her mind permanently. If you want to leave a lasting mark on a woman, earn her respect before you chase her feelings. Be a man whose behavior holds up under scrutiny, whose character is consistent in private and in public, and whose actions match his words without exception. That man does not just get remembered, he gets kept. 5. The small moment that meant everything to her and nothing to you. Women do not fall for men in big dramatic moments as often as people think. They fall in the small ones, the quiet, unplanned moments that nobody scripted and nobody saw coming. A man rarely knows when one of those moments is happening because to him it feels completely ordinary. But to her, something clicks in that moment that she cannot undo, and she carries it with her long after everything else about the situation has changed. They were not even on a real date. They were just sitting in his car after getting food, talking about nothing important. At some point, she said something self-deprecating, brushing herself off the way she always did around people she was not sure about yet. He stopped her mid-sentence, looked at her directly, and said she did not have to do that around him. No big speech, no dramatic pause, just that one quiet, honest moment. She still thinks about it. That moment cost him nothing. He probably forgot about it by the next day, but what it did for her was tell her in the clearest possible way that he was paying attention, that he saw through the performance she put on for the world, and that he was not going to let her disappear into it around him. That kind of being seen is something most women spend years looking for and rarely find. The small moments you dismiss as insignificant are often the most significant things you will ever do in a woman's eyes. Stay present, stay attentive, and never underestimate the power of a single genuine moment delivered at exactly the right time. 6. Why she compares every man after him to that one guy. Every woman has that one man she uses as a reference point without even meaning to. He is not necessarily the man she loved the most or the one she was with the longest. He is the man who set a standard so clearly that every man who came after him got quietly measured against it. And most of those men never even knew they were being compared to someone they had never met. The standard he set was not about money or looks or status. It was about how he made her feel on an ordinary Tuesday when nothing special was happening. It was about the way he communicated without making her feel like a problem to be managed. It was about the consistency between who he was in public and who he was behind closed doors. Those things added up to something she did not fully appreciate until she stopped having them. This is why how you show up in the quiet, unglamorous moments of a relationship matters more than anything else you could possibly do. Any man can be impressive on a good day. The man she cannot stop comparing others to was impressive on the average days, the hard days, and the days when nobody was watching. That kind of consistency is rare enough that when a woman experiences it, it recalibrates her entire standard permanently. You may never know if you are that man for someone, but you can decide every single day to be the kind of man who deserves to be. Show up with integrity, treat her like she matters in the small moments, and let your character speak consistently. That is how a man becomes the standard. 7. You left her life, but never left her mind. Here is why. Here is the honest truth most men need to sit with. The reason some men never leave a woman's mind has nothing to do with luck or chemistry. It has everything to do with the daily decision to show up as a man of genuine character when it would have been easier not to. Most men are waiting for a reason to be that man. The unforgettable ones just chose to be him without waiting for permission. Here is the constructive criticism. Too many men invest their energy into appearing valuable rather than actually being valuable. They focus on the image, the presentation, and the impression while neglecting the substance underneath. A woman's memory does not store your highlights reel. It stores how you made her feel when there was no audience and nothing to prove. That is the version of you she keeps. Stop treating the small moments like they do not count. Stop assuming she is not paying attention when things feel ordinary. Stop saving your best self for the moments you think matter and start bringing that same energy to every interaction. The man she never forgets was not performing. He was simply present, consistent, and real every single day without making a production of it. You have everything you need to be that man right now, not tomorrow, not when life settles down, not when you feel more ready. Right now. Decide that your character is not something you switch on for special occasions. Make it who you are every day and without exception. That decision alone will set you apart from almost every man she has ever known. Here is the most uncomfortable truth about all of this. The men women never forget were not trying to be unforgettable. They were simply too busy being genuine, consistent, and grounded to waste energy on performance. And that is exactly what made them impossible to shake. The men who are desperately trying to leave an impression almost never do. But the man who just shows up as himself, with real standards and real character, leaves a mark that no amount of time can fully erase. Everything in this video points to the same conclusion. Women do not remember men because of what they had or what they spent or how impressive they looked on the surface. They remember men because of how those men made them feel about themselves. Safe, seen, respected, and valued. Those feelings are rare enough that when a woman finds them in a man, she holds on to that memory for life. That is the standard worth building toward. Now I want to hear from you. Is there a man you have never been able to forget, or are you the man someone is still thinking about without knowing it? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single response, and I will be engaging personally because these conversations matter deeply to me. You watched this entire video for a reason. Do not just take the information and leave. Take it and go become the man that nobody forgets.